So this was Jerry versus Urosh,
Mhm.
with Jerry taking black and Urosh taking white. Also, all okay so far. No big issues. Um, I would say K4 probably. When you have an open corner, it's probably better to play the open corner, but certainly not a huge mistake.
So I was teaching both of these players, and I tell them in the beginning to start with corners and then do third and fourth line. I'm happy they're all experimenting with that. This is
So again, if you can play a corner, you want to play a corner because black's going to want to play here now, and now this move is kind of almost awkwardly placed. Um, or this is perfectly fine too. Again, every move that I'm seeing of whites should really just be in this corner's position here. Now black gets to play here and kind of ruin that framework that white was building up over here. And by virtue of doing that, it also kind of hurts the framework over here as well. This is big too. They're just they're each taking their sides, but I think that probably invading here might be worth a little bit more than playing here because you've already gotten one corner move here, where white has not played a second corner move. And so it'll be easier for you to get territory with one corner move than it is with white having no corner moves, or with two corner moves than it is for one corner move. So I would probably play here. I will also say the more moves you add in an area, the less valuable that area becomes because you spent more moves to get it, and you want to make sure your stones are efficient, right? So if you have a stone that can get you 5 points or two stones that can get you 8, you'd probably rather have the one stone that gets you 5 points because that's being used more efficiently than the two stones that get you 8. So white gets the large move. It's still pretty even on the board, no big deal. All these moves are quite large, so I'm not going to fault them too much. Almost always after you see E14, white should play at B16. Does anyone know why?
corners first.
Corners first, but there's an actual sequence. What's the problem by playing anywhere other than here
The
or
three is
here?
still open. Right?
The 3/3 is still open. So black plays here, white blocks, plays here, da 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 da. And black's going to be able to very easily live on the inside, and white's not going to get any sort of influence over here. So this whole area that white was mapping out becomes black's, and now the stone isn't terribly placed. It works well with this formation here, but black was able to maintain its influence over here and keep the corner alive. So this is definitely a big loss for white. So that's why whenever you see this black jump here, white almost always plays here. This should be, unless there's some crazy fight going on the other side of the board, this should be your instinct whenever you see E14. Big move. Yeah. Again, I probably would still play C17, but this is large too. Again, it's kind of getting to the top of a mountain. So when you get to, if you're like doing a sumo match on the top of a mountain, you'd rather be at the peak, so it's easier to push your opponent off. And so every time you can be further up on the mountain, you're gonna have an easier fight. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of sumo, so forgive me for the. Again, this is a large move. I don't, all these moves are large, but you kind of want to keep up with that idea of getting to the top of the mountain. And so if you can get to the top of the mountain first, you're going to map out more territory. The problem with this move is it's kind of mapping out stuff that only one side cares about. Only white cares about this territory. But if black plays something like this, black's now mapping out all this area over here, which could have been white's territory, right? Like imagine if white had played here. Now white's stopping black from expanding further and also building up its own framework. So even though this is obviously still a large move, it's still protecting some influence here. It's not quite stopping your opponent from getting more. And if we have something that can stop your opponent from getting more and give you more, and as opposed to just giving you more, usually the former is going to be better. Okay. So again, another big move. I might be inclined just to play the 3/3, the corner block here. You certainly don't want white to come in here and take away this territory. Obviously, this is still a large move, but corners are just more valuable because you only need to use, you can use a lot less stones to capture more points. So it goes back to that idea of, if I have a move that gives me 5 points with 1 stone versus 2 stones that give me 8 points, which ones do I want to play? Well, I want to play that 5-point move as opposed to the 2 8s. So good move by white, kind of breaking in. So we got white's getting back on plan, right? White's getting back to that center area. These are good moves by white. I do want to point out that both these invasion points for white and black are still open. I think they're probably a little bit larger than the center territory because you have to work so much harder to get center territory. But these are not terrible moves by any stretch. This move I would say is a little questionable. Anyone want to guess why?
It doesn't choose a side; it goes through the middle.
Partially, I guess that hits on what I was trying to get at. It's not really expanding anyone's side, or really reducing anyone's side. It's you could say it's reducing a little bit of whites, but there's no way that black's going to make territory out of this move. Even if black gets 2 moves in a row, white still has ways of getting it, right? And so yes, you can get some more territory, but you need white to not do anything in order to do so. And it's not really hurting all of white's territory here. So I would be more inclined of just blocking, playing the 3/3 here or blocking here, or trying to play something like this where you can at least map out more territory for black while reducing white's influence over here. Yeah, these moves no longer matter because white's already broken in. So now you're spending all these moves here to get to just make sure your stone lives, but it's not really helping you. And while this is going on, white gets to destroy your territory. Again, this move doesn't get you territory. This is just to connect back. And so all this happened, and white's completely destroyed this framework that black built up over here. And white gets to now white plays here, and I would say white's ahead. Not a small move, but again, corners are bigger. So yeah, a lot of cutting points. I think if I were black here, I would just extend and just kind of lose a little bit here. I think you can still maintain enough territory. There's no cut here, unfortunately, or there's no issue with cutting here. So I think this is probably how black should play. I think that the double hane might just be too aggressive. Because black does have a little bit of weaknesses here, so that's something that black's gonna have to be mindful of. I mean, maybe it's not too problematic, but I think that just blocking here would be fine. And of course, white could also choose to play this way as well. And this would be a perfectly reasonable variation for white as well. So just coming down would be better. So blocking here is not really necessary. Protecting here isn't really necessary. If white cuts, boom, 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 there's no real way for white to live with these stones down here. So you kind of just added a move unnecessarily, which you're giving up Sente. We can say Sente is worth 10 to 15 points. So you've basically just given up 10 to 15 points by playing this. So again, these aren't small, but I think black had the right idea in saying, "Oh, okay, I don't care about the stone. Let me just live in the corner or do something like that." This is the center point. A little bit of a mistake here. This stone is a sacrifice stone. Usually you don't play this unless you're planning on sacrificing it. So this is what you typically expect to see. And you still get to keep this Atari here, but you've gotten a couple extra points out of it this way. When you Atari here first, white gets to take, and now black didn't get any extra points over here. And so now, obviously, this cut no longer this cut no longer works.